is up, guys? Okay, we are back with another one. Little segment, little talky talk, late night talk. Because now I started filming these at night just because, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And like I said, I've gone into content creation full time now. So this is your 30s for 30. So get comfortable and listen up. So I started this series because, as you guys know, if you don't know, now you do, but I'm going to always repeat it. I recently, back in June, decided to quit my career, pack up my apartment, and move to Florida and downgrade my life. And now when I say downgrade, I'm in a great situation, so I don't want to downplay it and pretend like I'm not, but I simply just moved to Orlando into our family vacation home so I could start over. It's been a very humbling experience starting over in your 30s, but just something in my soul was telling me it was time to leave this chaotic life of events, red carpets, fitness events, people, celebrity culture. Like, it was just time for me. It just wasn't for me anymore. And, it's the happiest that I've ever been, but it's also the hardest. And what I mean by the hardest is I had a day like today where, I'm trying to get my business up off the ground. I have two businesses that I'm doing right now. One is my online fitness coaching, which I launched a year ago, but never put any time, effort, or any energy into it. And the second business is something I'm getting licensed and patenting right now for something I need to get investors for. It's an idea that I've had for a couple years. And it was something that it's funny, I told my ex this idea because today's segment is, should I be dating when I'm starting over? And I'm going to give you my viewpoints from different aspects of this. I remember I told my ex this business idea I had. It was a crazy idea. I remember I was traveling and I was stuck in a Brussels airport, and I just came up with this idea. And I remember when I got home, I was so excited to tell him about this idea. And he told me that it was stupid and it was dumb and no one would ever like it. And honestly, why would anyone want to invest in that idea? So I kind of put it to rest and I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, this is dumb. Yeah. So I put it to rest for like 2 years ago. Never thought about it again up until recently. So now I'm launching it in 2026, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Got to get some investors for it. But one thing that I've realized with starting over in my 30s is I never really liked myself. And I guess that's a hard pill to swallow, but saying it out loud feels much better. And I had a day like today where I was just super down on myself with, starting over, getting inside my head, thinking I'm a loser because I'm not married, I don't have kids, and that has always been my number one thing is I want to be a mom. I feel like I'd be a really great wife, and I feel like I'd be a really great mom. Like, you just have something in you as a woman that you either have it or you don't, and I just know I do have it. And so I was getting down on myself, and then I realized, like, maybe I should just keep putting myself out there to date. And currently in this state, like, I am dating, but I'm not dating at the same time. It's something that I'm putting energy into, I should say, but I'm not ready to fully take that plunge yet. Because how I look at it is there's so many unhealed people in the world. And last week we talked about generational trauma, and now this week we're talking about like just actual healing. And I find it that in our 20s, we spend our time just like partying, casually dating, or if you did get into a serious relationship that caused trauma, you now carry it and keep carrying it and keep carrying it. And how many times can you just sit there and tell somebody new that you're dating, well, my ex did this? And it's like, okay, well, when are we going to get over that? Like, when do you take a step back and really take a year or some change to yourself and figure out, like, what are these things and traumas that I just don't want to carry on into the next relationship? Because in your 30s, now we just don't have time. Like, I don't have time to date you for 5 years and then break up and then not get married. Like, obviously you're not going to force marriage on someone, but you know what I'm saying? Like, when I was in my 20s, I dated someone for 4 straight years and it was the most toxic love ever. And then by time like we got done being with each, like done, it was 6 years. And then I picked up and moved to California. And then I started going into the dating pool. And then I was like dating this one for 8 months, 5 months, 6 months, half a year, whatever it was. Like, and I felt like I just wasted time instead of like actually dealing with what happened in my 20s, because then I just kept carrying it over and finding every excuse in the book. So I find that now that I'm in my 30s, for me, I just want to wait until I'm fully in where I need to be. And I mean, like in my career, financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So then when I do meet that person, it's kind of just like 1, 2, 3. Like I could settle down, I can be myself, I don't have to have all this pent up trauma, and I can just communicate better. Unhealed people come together. Now you just have, well, I do this because of that. I do this. And it's just going to be constant arguing and constant like validating the trauma. And it's like when two healed people come together, and when you're secure with yourself as a woman or you're secure with yourself as a man, then you just cultivate this beautiful relationship where you can communicate healthy. You can talk about things instead of arguing. No relationship is going to be perfect, obviously. But I just feel like when you take your time in your 30s to really get to understand yourself, you'll stop settling for bullshit. And how I know that I have done a lot of work on myself, my last set relationship was 2 years ago when we broke up in 2023. And yeah, I've casually dated people since then, but nothing serious in the sense of like, you're my boyfriend or here's my mom and dad. Like it was a couple months that we dated, and then we realized like, hey, best of luck. This just like isn't for me, or I don't see this going anywhere. And that's okay, because it does take time to get to know somebody. And if you don't also equally build a solid foundation of getting to know people, that's why I'm a big long distance girly. I'm not going to lie. I do love a good long distance relationship, and I'll explain why that is. Long distance gives you the space to be yourself and to not lose everything that you have going on, and you're still getting to know somebody through the phone. Now, that doesn't mean that that can't change, in the sense of like things do have to change at some point when it comes to distance, but it also allows you to learn yourself a little bit better, because you're listening to the person that you're seeing. And you don't have just intimacy. Has anyone ever just gotten lost in the sauce when you're dating somebody, and because like the sex is really good or the intimacy is really great, the dates are fun, and then you go back home and then you watch them Netflix and chill, then you realize like after 6 months, you're like, I have nothing in common with this girl, or I have nothing in common with this man. And then you start to realize like we didn't have a solid foundation of anything. We kind of just like jumped right into this. I've been there before. And what I like about distance is that it takes time, effort, and energy. And then you can still equally go be yourself and do all the things that you want to do, because you're not getting so wrapped up in somebody. Now, in your 30s, again, I think that it's super important to be super in tune with yourself before you go out into that dating world. Because if you're not in tune with yourself, you'll never, one, like yourself. And then when you don't like yourself, you'll never be able to love somebody else properly, because you're always going to be in your head. Did they mean what they said? Does this person like me? And you're going to be questioning every single thing. But when you come to a relationship super secure and grounded, if that person's in a bad mood, it doesn't affect you. Why? I didn't do anything. Something happened. Not my problem. Okay, babe, you okay? Good. You want to talk about it? Okay. And then you just kind of move on. But when you're not healed, it's a totally different story. So what I like to give as my piece of advice, just like even to myself, and if anyone is struggling with this, get in tune with you and really learn, what are my likes, what are my dislikes, and what am I looking for in a partner? And one thing that I've learned is, I have been in these dating group apps called Are We Dating the Same Man? And the back end story of how I ended up in here, it's not because I had a man in there. It's because my old neighbor was in one of those things and was posted in there, and they were saying very foul, untrue things. And what that group taught me is that it's so many unhealed women. And I'm not trying to be a woman hater. I'm not a pick me or anything like that, but it's so many unhealed women going into these groups and parading these men around. And it's kind of just like when I read some of these posts, I'm like, girl, if you were healed, you wouldn't even be posting this in here. Like the fact that you've gone on 2 dates with somebody and then you're saying like, is anyone else seeing him? It's like, girl, that's none of your business. Like, honestly, if that man hasn't asked you, will you be exclusively with just me? You can't really ask that question. Now, I shouldn't say you can't ask those questions, but if you guys haven't set ground rules and boundaries, going and running to other women just has never been the answer to me, because sometimes delusional women befriend other delusional women and then they go, yeah, girl, you should totally do that. And it's like, girl, no, I shouldn't. Like, come on, where's your brain at? You know? So it's taught me like a lot about women, relationships, and how I don't want to be, how I do want to be, how I do want to conduct and carry myself, and how I just want to be healed and I don't want to go through these things publicly, right? So I say all that to say it's super important to just be at one with yourself and be happy. Someone should contribute to your happiness, not be your happiness. And in our 30s, like I said, we just don't have time to waste. If you want to get married, if you want to have kids and you want to do these things, you have to set yourself up. And setting yourself up for success, not failure, is definitely going to be the way to go. So if you're starting over in your 30s, I say take some time for you. You're just starting all over again. And you need to focus and put that energy that you would typically go put into somebody else and put that shit into yourself. Because if you don't give yourself that time, effort, and energy, you're going to regret it, because then you're just going to keep going back to square one. Because if you're starting over in your 30s and then you meet somebody and you start dating them and then it doesn't work out, now you've just wasted 3 to 4 months of energy that you could have put into yourself. Now, every case is different. I do believe that there are people that come into your life at the right place at the right time. That's something that happened to me, where I definitely have been super stern on I'm not dating this year, and somebody ended up coming into my life and he's great. Like, he builds me up. He's a great foundational individual, but we're just starting a friendship. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but starting a friendship is where you need to be at first. And like I said, I was super admirable on the fact of I'm not going into a relationship because I'm starting my whole life over. What do I really have to offer somebody right now? But when it's the perfect person or the right timing, God just works in mysterious ways. But again, you have to be enough grounded with yourself where you could have serious talks now and not take your past relationship into something new. You have to be emotionally grounded and emotionally intelligent enough. And if you haven't done that time with yourself, you'll never be able to have that with your partner. So I do believe that it's a case by case scenario, but for the most part, I'm so honed in on putting all this energy into you and not putting your energy into somebody else, because sometimes we have a bad habit of doing that. So when you're starting over in your 30s, dating should be the last priority that you have, because now we're older and we have to put that energy back into ourselves and be super cautious. Energy transfer is a real thing. Most people don't believe in that, but like when you're intimate with somebody, when you're having conversation, like you want it to be worth your while. You don't want to be talking about what is your favorite color. Like, come on now. We want to be talking about substance. We want to be talking about real life things. So that is my piece of advice for this episode. I hate saying episode because I'm not a podcaster just yet. In this little late night talk, little late night with Linz. Okay. That's what we'll call it. For your 30s for 30s is just to sum it up. When you're starting over, take the time for yourself. Don't go pour your effort and energy into somebody else. Come to a new relationship super grounded and super just in tune with you. You owe it to yourself. You've spent your life being miserable, or I could only speak for myself with that. I've spent most of my life being miserable from jobs that I've worked, or just knowing like I have so much more to give. I have so much more to offer, and no one is seeing my worth and my value in my job, in my life, in my friendships, like you have to get grounded with you and spend this alone time in isolation mode. I am a fan of isolation mode when you are starting over. It's the only way that you're going to learn yourself. So I will catch you guys on the next one. This was kind of short little talk, because if there's one thing I don't like to give advice on, is marriage and children. I don't have either. So I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole of dating. I just wanted to give my food for thought of things that I was thinking about myself today when I was getting hard on myself because I'm not married and I don't have kids, and I was questioning myself, like, should I get out there fully? Like, do I download a dating app? Like, do I just like dive head into that? And the answer was no. I like the situation that I'm in right now, taking my time, building a foundation with somebody. And if it's meant to go down that path, it will. And if it's not, then I've been super grounded with myself to know what my likes and my dislikes are, and to know that I went into this situation totally healed. And I went into this situation with good communication skills, good emotional intelligence, and just me being Lindsay. So I hope everyone has a fantastic week and has a good start to their Monday. And I'll catch you guys next week.